If you're anything like me, Destiny keeps getting further and further down on your list of games to play, and it's not hard to see why. Between the climactic ending of the final shape, descending quality of gameplay, and multiple waves of layoffs in the past year, Bungie has been bleeding players left and right. As a result, I've been playing Destiny less and less, but my itch to game still persists. So I've been branching out into different games. I had a month-long Minecraft phase, I stuck with this puzzle game for a month or two, but I started itching for a good PvP game, something that could satisfy that Crucible desire I once had. And that's when I found Splitgate. You've probably at least heard of 2019's Splitgate, but it's probably been a minute or two since you've seen it get any real attention. Splitgate is a 4v4 shooter with portals. Essentially, combine Halo with Portal 2 and this is what you get. I played it once for 2 hours 3 weeks ago, and I have not been able to put it down since. I'm not kidding, I've been stuck playing this game nearly daily, and I can't help but think about it on the days I'm not playing it. This dead game from 2019 has me hooked. But why? For one thing, it's just a well-made game. I find it miraculous that a multiplayer game with portals can stay this fast-paced and polished without imploding on itself, but Splitgate pulls it off. While Destiny does have incredible gunplay and movement, I've been getting kinda tired of the constant ability spam, weapon flinch, and airborne accuracy penalties. Splitgate nullifies all of these problems and builds on Destiny's upsides. Every gun feels really satisfying to use, and while the portal mechanics have a tendency to become campy in certain game modes, I find them to be a really engaging and unique movement tool. Let's move on to something a little more substantial than just game is good, though. In my opinion, Bungie is quite boastful about Destiny's free-to-play status, but my friends and I have always said that free-to-try is a more accurate statement. Expansions, activities, and even loot are locked behind paywalls, with no implications that they'll ever be free on the horizon. Alternatively, Splitgate is completely free and provides ease of access to all players. Now, in talking about this point, I do think it's fair to mention that there's a pretty clear genre difference between these two games. PvP-centric games are often free, while the same can't always be said of live service MMO titles. That being said, this doesn't mean a free title has to have a scummy monetization model, a case which has plagued live service and shooter titles alike, but Splitgate thankfully dodges this issue. With Splitgate 2 on the horizon, purchasing in-game currency with real money has been disabled entirely, and their battle pass has been made completely free, which, if you ask me, is pretty darn user-friendly. Splitgate is also ready to play immediately. While Destiny will have you grind out power levels and weapons, you can jump into a match of Splitgate as soon as it's installed. Once again, you can chalk this up to being genre differences, but it's nice to be able to play an activity without grinding pinnacles and hoping I get the right item to up my power. I don't know, maybe I'm just kinda over the power grind. Splitgate also shines for me because of its reasonable queue times. You're usually not waiting around longer than a minute or two before you found a match, a problem that Destiny has really been suffering from lately. With a peak of around 300 players for the last month though, that seems impossible for Splitgate. And you'd sort of be right. You're somewhat likely to find bots in your lobbies. Personally, I don't have a huge issue with this because I'd rather just play a game with bots than sit around waiting for 5 or 10 minutes just to play. I also don't notice it that often, but I'm usually playing with a full or mostly full squad. Either that or I'm just really bad at picking up on when bots are in my lobby. It's honestly probably the latter. Even at some of its lowest points though, I'd still regularly play Destiny. The Control playlist was my home and my go-to spot for any and all PvP activity, but capturing the same 3 flags over and over again doesn't always stay fresh. And Iron Banner, I don't even want to talk about. Splitgate remedies this pretty quickly with an expansive collection of game modes and activities to pick from. Want chaotic party modes? Splitgate's got it. Want tense free-for-alls? Splitgate's got it. Want good old-fashioned TDM? Splitgate's got it. And yes, Destiny has its own alternate game modes, but for one thing they're on a weekly rotation, and the ones we have access to aren't the most creative or even fun if you ask me. I guess if I had to complain about anything in Splitgate it would be the map selection. While the maps aren't anything offensive, I can't say that I actively love any of them or have a favorite, besides like Oasis, or that one Foregone Destruction I think it's called. I don't know. At the very least, I think Destiny's got a better map selection. I think. That might not be true. It really is mostly just Javelin and Endless. Either way, that's Splitgate, otherwise known as my most recent addiction. If you haven't picked it up in a while, or you've never tried it at all, I heavily encourage you to give it a shot. It's a cute but charming game that'll eat up a few hours for you and your friends. I know it has for me at the very least. I've got a Splitgate video in the pipeline, but there are literal hours of footage for me to sift through, so it's gonna take a bit of time for me to get it here. Once it does though, I do think you'll enjoy it, so I hope you stick around. Until then, we'll return to your regularly scheduled Destiny content in the next video. Thanks for watching.